हेलो गाइस एंड वेलकम बैक टू माय न्यू वीडियो। आज की वीडियो में मैं सेक्शन 14 एसआरए डिस्कस करूँगी और जो इस पे कुछ सेक्शंस हैं मैं अभी नहीं डिस्कस करूँगी क्योंकि वो टीपीए के साथ अगर डिस्कस हो तो ज़्यादा बेटर है। इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी वगैरह के ट्रांजैक्शन से रिलेटेड ज़्यादा अप्रोप्रिएट प्रोविजंस है, तो वो मैं जब टीपीए डिस्कस करूँगी या तो तब एक वीडियो उन पे बनेगी या ज़्यादा चांसेस मैंने यही सोचा है कि एसआरए की एंड में वो वीडियो बनाऊँगी ऐसे मिसलेनियस नॉट सो इम्पॉर्टेंट सेक्शंस को डिस्कस करते हुए, ताकि एक रिवीजन भी हो जाए, वो भी छूटे ना। तो चलिए अब हम स्टार्ट करते हैं। द फॉलोइंग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स कैन नॉट बी स्पेसिफिकली एनफोर्स्ड। एज वी नो सेक्शन 10 में तो ये मैंडेट आ गया लेजिस्लेचर से कि स्पेसिफिक परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ अ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हैज़ टू बी कंपल्सरीली एनफोर्स्ड, अनलाइक द बिफोर 2018 वाला सिनेरियो की जब नहीं होगा, बट नाउ वील हैव टू। बट सेक्शन 14 says contracts not, means this section is a restriction or rather an exception to the general rule enumerated under section 10. So the exceptions are: when a party to the contract has obtained substituted performance of a contract in accordance with the provisions of section 20. So to understand clause A, obviously we will have to read section 20, but section 20 is such that it deserves a video of its own. So that would be done the next or maybe the next to next video. But just to explain for now, substituted performance, as the name says, means the performance of a contract being changed with that of the other, or that by the other, and yet you are claiming the performance of the original contract. So just to explain, say there are two parties, A and B. This fellow B is a baker. A says that I want a chocolate cake for my friend's birthday. He is going to some other country and we want to celebrate his birthday. He has his flight on 16th night and he has to leave from his place by 4 p.m. So I would want you to deliver the chocolate cake. He loves chocolate cake and I want you to deliver it by say 4 p.m. What's the date today? So let's assume it's 13 August. And I want you to deliver it by 4 p.m. 13 August at B's place. At my friend's place, sorry. So B agrees to the same, that he would be delivering the chocolate cake. Now what happens on this day morning, the baker realizes that he does not have the ingredients for the chocolate cake and he calls up A. And he calls up A and tells him the entire scenario, and now A has a few choices. B offers him that these are XYZ, my XYZ options. I can give you these cake flavors, or I'm really sorry, if you have paid me certain advance, I'll return it to you, but I can't give you the chocolate cake as I don't have the ingredients and I would not be able to procure them at time. Now A knows that his friend does not like any other flavor, so what A does is A cancels the contract with B. A goes to say another baker, B1, and says to B1 that I had my contract with another XYZ baker, but he's not able to provide me with the cake at the time. So can you just prepare this cake for me and deliver it to my friend's place at so and so time? So B1 agrees and he adheres to the contract and finally fulfills the same. So now what happens? A had the original contract, let's call this contract C1, with B, however it was not fulfilled. But instead of this, he later, to fulfill his purpose of the contract, that is whatever he wanted out of this particular C1 contract, he enters into another contract in place of this with B1 and gets his job done. So this is an example of substituted performance of a contract, that when one person is not able to do it, you get it done by another person. So this is an instance of substituted performance. So with respect to section 14, when a party obtains substituted performance of a contract in accordance with provisions of section 20, just like the example I have explained here. So then the original contract C1 cannot be enforced. That is, if A gets the cake from B1, his job is done, then he cannot go to the court and say to the court that B did not fulfill the contract C1 and so I want to get the contract C1 enforced. This is what is wrong. So if there is a particular contract not fulfilled, you went to some other party, you got its performance substituted, it got done by other party. So in that case, the original contract does not remain to be of such nature that it can be specifically enforced, because for you, what you needed out of that particular contract has already been done. Now let's move forward. A contract, the performance of which involves the performance of a continuous duty which the court cannot supervise. Okay. So to explain it better, there are, say there is certain infrastructural project. Let's say there is certain infrastructure project. There is this particular land outside the main city, in the outskirts of the city, and there is a certain person X and a certain person Y. Y entered into a contract with Y. X entered into a contract with Y, and this fellow Y is a builder. The contract between them says that X would be giving his land to Y to get certain, say, apartments built here. 4 to 5 blocks of apartments in this particular piece of land, and the work will have to be completed within, say, 4 years time period, and for at the end of the day the builder will be the owner of these flats, and X would be getting 4 to 5 flats for free and all those kind of a proper building township ownership kind of a contract they enter into. Now what happens after, at the end of 4 years, X sees that only one block is ready, and the Y and this particular builder Y is now refusing to build further blocks and is also not giving the number of flats as promised to X. Now X approaches court. And seeks the specific performance of the contract entered into with Y. Now, such a contract will not be specifically enforced by the court. Reason being, this is not a contract which would get fulfilled by a one day act or only a single act. The fulfillment of this particular contract in its entirety will require a performance of series of acts over a good period of time. So to put it across bluntly, court has a lot of work to do. It is not free enough to make sure that once it passes the decree, and if the decree goes into execution, then each and every day a certain person is there making sure that work is being done and all those kind of things. Basically, the court is not what we call in Hindi as a chowkidar or a watchman. It is a adjudicatory authority, right? So it will not do the job of a watchman when it comes to enforcement of contracts. So contracts of such nature will not be enforced by a court. Now, just a disclaimer, this was an example to show the concept of continuous duty which the court cannot supervise. Such examples now come within the ambit of RERA Act, and RERA Act has provisions to lead to the fulfillment of such contracts, or in case of non-fulfillment, then the returning of the earnest amount and all those things. So don't take it up as a straitjacket example for this section, but this example was given to explain the term continuous duty, and it is extremely apt and correct in that particular aspect. So let's move forward. A contract which is so dependent on the personal qualification of the parties that the court cannot enforce specific performance of its material terms. See, there is this particular cafe owner A. Now A has a very good cafe in a posh area of, say, Delhi, and he wants X. So X is a famous singer. You can just assume it's your favorite singer, anyone of which you like. So enters into a contract with X that X would be going every, say, 2 weekends, Saturday and Sunday. X would be going to Ace Cafe and performing there from, say, 8 to 10 p.m. for a period of 1 month, which means approximately 8 days for this particular month. X would be going and performing. But now what happens? X falls sick. Now since X falls sick, X cannot go and perform at A's cafe. So now what will be the consequence? What remedy A has? A obviously can seek damages, and from this language of section 10 we also assume that A can. So let's continue. Actually my phone got discharged, so sorry for the disturbance. So along with damages, A can also seek specific performance of the contract as mentioned under section 10. However, this particular contract was entered into because of the personal qualifications, the personal talent, the skills, the aura of X as a singer, because people appreciated X as a singer, A appreciated X as a singer, people loved his music, people loved his work. So that is why X was hired, because it was anticipated by A that X would be able to pull in a lot of footfall for him at his cafe, and it will generate him good business. So any other singer might not. They might individually be very good singers, but such a contract is of a nature that it depends on the skills of a person. Such contracts cannot be specifically enforced by the court. Now, he was sick. Can we force him to perform? First of all, contractually speaking, this will become an example of force majeure clause, section 56 Indian Contract Act. Now, this let's assume that this is not the case. X does not fall sick. X simply doesn't want to perform at this place. He got a better contract. Now can A file a suit for specific performance against X? Even in this case, he cannot do so. It is his personal qualification. Now yet again, if he doesn't want to perform, it's his skill. He cannot be forced to. A can very well seek damages or compensation from him. That remedy will always exist. But specific performance cannot be sought by A. So I hope that this example is clear, and let's move forward. Now we have the fourth example, the fourth category, a contract which is in its nature determinable. This means that any contract which can be terminated by the parties to it is a determinable contract, and such a contract cannot be enforced. The most common and the most apt example for me now is a partnership deed. Say there are 3 partners in a partnership firm, A, B and C. A has 50% partnership, B has 30, and say C has 20. If this particular fellow A decides to leave the partnership, he cannot be forced to remain a part of it. B and C cannot, on the basis of the partnership deed, file a suit and force A to remain a part of the partnership. This cannot be done. Why? Nature of the contract is such that any party can opt out of it at a particular time. Not in a haywire manner, obviously. There are restrictions to it in the sense that he has to clear his accounts, and there will be liabilities for the acts undertaken while he was a party to the firm, and all those things will remain. But can he be forced to always remain a partner in that particular partnership firm? No. So such contracts are what are determinable contracts. So section 14, as I explained, is a very simple section. It is an exception based section to section 10, and I hope that you all have understood what I meant to explain in this section. I made this video after a long time, I guess 4 to 5 days I did not upload a video, but I hope that my flow was good in it. And do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Please forward it to all, and I will be trying to be as much regular as I can be. And thank you so much.